In the 14th century, long before modern globalization, the world was already connected, not by airplanes or digital networks, but by caravans crossing burning deserts. In that fragile global system, one empire quietly held the balance of wealth. This was the Mali Empire. European kingdoms minted coins using its gold. North African markets relied on its trade. Scholars traveled thousands of miles to study in its cities. Yet today, many people have never heard its name. This documentary tells the story, step by step, of how Mali rose, how the world depended on it, and why its legacy still matters. To understand Mali's rise, we must begin earlier. West Africa was already home to powerful states. The Ghana Empire had dominated trans-Saharan trade for centuries. It controlled the flow of gold and salt between sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. But by the early 13th century, Ghana weakened due to internal conflicts and external pressures. Trade routes shifted. Authority collapsed. Power vacuum formed. Across the savannah, smaller kingdoms competed for dominance. Out of this instability, a new leader would rise. One who would unite divided lands into something far greater. That leader was Sundiata Keita. According to oral tradition, he overcame childhood disability and exile to reclaim his rightful throne. In 1235, at the Battle of Karina, Sundiata defeated his rival and established the foundation of the Mali Empire. But his true genius was not just military victory, it was organization. He united Mandinka clans under a centralized authority, secured trade routes, and ensured protection for merchants. Stability returned. Caravans moved safely. Gold mines came under imperial control. Step by step, Mali transformed from a regional kingdom into a growing empire. As Mali expanded, it gained control over the richest goldfields in West Africa. By the early 14th century, historians estimate that Mali controlled nearly half of the Old World's gold supply. Gold was the backbone of medieval economies. Cities like Cairo depended on steady supplies to sustain trade and currency systems. European merchants indirectly relied on West African gold for minting coins. Without Mali's resources, Mediterranean economies would have struggled. The empire became the invisible engine of international commerce. The world's wealth was flowing from African soil. 1312, a new ruler ascended the throne, Mansa Musa. Under his leadership, Mali reached its greatest height. He strengthened administration, expanded borders, and invested in education and architecture. But in 1324, he made a decision that would change how the world viewed Africa forever. He set out on the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, with thousands of followers and enormous quantities of gold. When he passed through Cairo, he distributed so much gold that inflation affected the region for years. News of his wealth spread across continents. European mapmakers began drawing a powerful African king holding gold. The world could no longer ignore Mali. Mali's power was not only economic, it was intellectual. The city of Timbuktu became one of the greatest centers of learning in the medieval world. Institutions like the Sankore Madrasa attracted scholars in theology, astronomy, mathematics, and law. Thousands of manuscripts were copied and preserved. While parts of Europe faced political turmoil, Timbuktu thrived as a hub of scholarship. Knowledge flowed across the Sahara just like gold. Mali was shaping not only economies but ideas. After Mansa Musa's death in 1337, succession struggles weakened central authority. Provincial governors gained autonomy. Trade routes began to shift eastward. Gradually, a rival state, the Songhai Empire, expanded its influence. By the late 15th century, much of Mali's territory had been absorbed. The empire did not collapse overnight, but its golden age had clearly ended. The world moved on. New powers rose. Yet the systems Mali built continued to influence regional trade and scholarship. Though its political dominance faded, Mali's impact never disappeared. Its gold had fueled global economies. Its scholars preserved knowledge that would circulate for generations. Its story challenges the idea that medieval power was centered only in Europe or the Middle East. For a crucial period in history, the world depended on West Africa, on the Mali Empire. And today, As we re-examine global history, we rediscover an empire that once stood at the center of international trade, wealth, and learning. A forgotten empire, but never a minor one.